call us to pray for these things. I want to call us to stand in the gap, at least on behalf of this generation. Beloved, I'm telling you, if men that planted this church back then in 1996 didn't stand in the gap, we would not have a shelter over us. Beloved, if men that God called to build the walls of this church did not stand in the gap, if men that bought those chairs that you're sitting on, see, there's always what God is going to use every generation. There are always things that God is going to require a generation to stand up for. Beloved, God has called us to plant churches. Not just one, not just two. God has called us to go into the world. Beloved, God has called us to preach to people. I stand here every Sunday and I tell you guys, go out there, preach to people, preach the gospel, invite people to the house. Just be uncomfortable to see an empty seat in your church. Just be uncomfortable to sit near an empty seat. If you know someone out there that you left out there. Beloved, are we standing in the gap? See, it's not going to be easy. It's going to require you to step out of the comfort of your house. It's going to require you to step out of the comfort of your fears. Nobody said it's going to be easy to step out. I'm telling you, I went to Mbarara and I walked and walked and walked, and I'm telling you, it's difficult. What those men are doing is worthy. It is worthy. What Pastor John and Jordan are doing, it is worthy everything. And yet, they are doing it in gladness. And God tells us, stand in the gap and give to missions. And we struggle with that. Beloved, the things that God has called us as a church to do. And today I just want to show you some of these things. I'll keep explaining these things as time comes up. One of the things that God has called us to do in addition to planting churches, God has called us to stand with VCC, Kira. I don't know if you've seen their church plans. VCC Kira pictures. So that's VCC Kira. And that's the church they are dreaming to build. And I felt this in the year 2020. God spoke to me clearly and he told me, Moses, stand with VCC Kira because there is something I'm going to do in Rubaga. And I want you to stand with VCC Kira as a seed. As you planting a seed for even something greater I'm going to do in Rubaga. God told me I am rebuilding Rubaga. And I want you to take part in this construction. And beloved, we want to give to VCC Kira as a ministry. And even for me as a person, I want to give to them, as me and my wife as a family, we want to give to VCC Kira because there are certain things we want God to do in our lives. And we know, we know the door He has showed us. Like I've told you, Teacher D, she had to step out. It was uncomfortable. She didn't tell you. But sometimes she had to go some months without paying herself, but paying everyone just to see that center stay another day in operation. We as a church, God has given us a ministry to children. And for a very long time, this church has been running a school down here. And, I feel, and I'm convinced, forgive me, this word feel. I don't just feel, I am convinced. I am convinced that it's time for Calvary to step up. It's time for us to step out. And I'm telling you, as this church, we believe in children and we want to give children quality education. And we've been doing that for a very long time. Some of our young children that we taught many years ago have graduated from university. We have a couple of them in Church-Rubaga University. One of them, I think they are getting introduced, I don't know when. But you see, many of these children, because of the foundation the church gave them, they have stayed on course with God. And beloved, we don't just want to stop at nursery children. We want to transition to primary. And go more and more and more and more. But we believe that this is the time that I don't know whether it will still be our generation to build Calvary Secondary School and Calvary University. But I believe that it is our generation to build Calvary Primary School. And you know, those are some of the ideas that we have, that we want to build a block down there. Actually, you know, in times to come, that entire block that you see down there is going to be powered down. And we'll have a 5-story building standing there, from that corner to the ends of this corner, stretching all the way to the ends of this corner. Yeah? You know, we are believing God for a time to come, and this is where God told me that, you know what, sow a seed in VCC Kira, because I want to break the walls of the current Rubaga and build new walls. You know, and I believe that that's part of what God has called us. But at least for now, we are starting with that school, and we want to build a block here. That I'll share with you more plans when they fully come out. But we want to start with a block here where you see the playground. We want to start with a block there, and even where our toilets are. I don't know if some of you have looked at those toilets, but those toilets are deteriorating. Actually, there's a whole crack. One time I'll bring to you a video and I'll show you those toilets that we are using. Yeah, there is a crack that goes through them from the foundations. Yeah, and any time from now, I'm not saying this for you to be scared, but I'm saying this for you to see the urgency of this. Yeah, there's a crack in those toilets, and any time from now they are falling. Now they're not going to fall on you. I've prayed for that. I've prayed about that. But I'm just telling you this to tell you the urgency of this. That this is the time for us to do something about these things. God has called us to stand in the gap. And beloved, I know you may say, where does it benefit me? How does this benefit me? You know, if I asked myself while helping those children, I took that boy back to school when I didn't have I wasn't in university. I didn't have school fees for university. When I took that boy back to school, I don't know if Alfred has the picture. When I chose to take those children back to school, I personally was struggling because I hadn't gone back to school. I didn't have the money to. But you know, when God asked me to take these kids back to school, I felt God telling me, take them back to school and leave your school fees to me. And beloved, what I paid for these kids was nothing compared. And I'm telling you, I didn't even pay. I just stood in the gap. Somebody called me from I don't know, California. Told me, you know, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. And you see, that's how God will connect you. Someone told me, I don't know who you are. I don't know you. I just saw a Facebook post of what you're doing in Uganda. I don't even know where Uganda is. Like, I had to go on the map and search for where Uganda is with my children. He said, I feel like God has asked me to stand with you and we take these children back to school. And I'm telling you, God opened up a door of financial resources. That was the first time I received $1 in my life. It was the first time. And I'm telling you, from that point onwards, I've received US dollars every month. I'm not lying to you. I'm not kidding you. I'm not lying to you. People give me US dollars every month for the last, I don't know how many years. See, if you can just choose to look beyond just where it's going to benefit you and look at the people God has called you to serve. I'm telling you, there are certain doors in your life you will never open until you change the way you look at things. If you can just choose to be a generation that will look at, you know, it does not matter. Let me do it for the next generation. It does not matter whether my children will suffer.